Jeff? Well, whatever one of you two. I know you have something working.
Either way.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. Mine's kind of short. When we look at the Sustainable Poolesville, so we did not have our meeting since our last meeting, so stay tuned for the next meeting. And then
why don't you go ahead and update on
Fair
Fair
Access?
Access?
Sure.
Since I want to kind of do some thank yous.
Got you covered.
And
all right, and then for Fair Access is we're continuing to look. We had the listening session, and so we're continuing to dive through the feedback from the listening session as we're gearing up to look at what our priorities will be in terms of a focus area, and then we're getting ready to start planning for the breakfast. Those are the next big things coming up. We did have some discussion on White's Ferry, but it is nothing that's new. So that's where we are right now. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of announcements, let's see, congratulations, as everyone already said, congratulations to the Poolesville Pride Fest. And so when I got back in, I happened to drive by, I noticed it was extremely crowded, it's packed, and I felt that, I saw Martin's picture, I felt we were well represented, so I went up to the Juneteenth celebration over in Germantown and represented us there at that particular festival. And so, I'll see, what else, other things?
Scotland Juneteenth.
This was
on Wednesday.
Oh, this coming up this Wednesday. And then past Friday, I hosted the Small Business Network show. We had a studio audience. Andrew Friedson. Andrew Friedson was one of the guests, and also Kelly Leonard. So that was well turned out. It was nice to be able to see folks there. And that's about it for me for right now.
Cool.
Very good. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. I really appreciate that everybody has said a little bit of something about Pride Fest so far, because I don't have to say everything. But I do want to just say that I think it literally could not have gone better. We were so pleased with the smoothness of how things ran, with the 300 to 400 people who came. And the weather, everything was literally just perfect. But it was truly a community organized event, from the community grant here from the town of Poolesville to the sponsorship of locals and Riverworks and the Up County Prevention Network and the Historic Medley District. Parking was all provided by Anytime Fitness and the Jamesons in that big field. We had generously discounted signs printed up by Ashley Signs. We had balloons that were very discounted from Balloony Bin. We had donations for our silent auction from Kimberly Urick, this beautiful painting, and from Dan Savino, some honey. We had about 13 different vendors and artists there. We had an incredible talent show. Everything was very hyper local. That was kind of our goal, was to have it feel very local. And the feedback that we kept getting from people was that it just felt magical. And I think it wouldn't have been the same feeling if it had been out in, for example, Wayland Commons, because it's a big open field. It was kind of nice that there were different little spaces. You'd have the kids kind of running under the trees, squirting each other with water and getting face paint and drawing chalk. Some of the adults sitting over enjoying the music and the performances. You had some spaces inside where people who needed it a little bit more quiet and maybe some air conditioning for a little while. So it was just nice because I think because there were so many different spaces for people to kind of meet their needs, then they could hang out there all night long. And so it was fantastic. And also, I just want to say the incredible volunteers who came and set up. We strung lights the night before. We hung things off of locals on the top of the roof. It was a lot of physical work, all of the decorating and setting up of things, and we had some great volunteers that made that happen. So a big thank you to the whole community. And we've already started to get some lovely letters of thank you for throwing this from out-of-towners who came from Virginia and different counties, who came here specifically because they wanted to experience Pride Fest in a quiet country setting, instead of the sort of bigger urban Pride Fest vibe. And that's exactly what we were going for. So we're just so excited that things came together as well as they did. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
We're not going to ride the success of this and go into something monthly or, gatherings? I mean.
I think I can only do it once a year. It was a lot.
All right, that's all right. You can push the management to someone else, but it was a tremendous event. Thank you for that report, Sarah, and thanks for our hard work on that. And again, it was a pleasure to see all the commissioners there and have good conversations with all of our elected officials and just the regular people that were there. It was just a lot of fun and good times. Before I get into my little bit of a report, we wanted to recognize that we do have Juneteenth coming up on Wednesday, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in my time, how we're going to observe it. But I did want to kick it over to Ed, and if you'll have a little bit of a conversation on that, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah, now, yeah, sorry,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
I just stopped.
I'm like, I was waiting.
Yeah, no,
Put you on the spot.
no, and I
know.
say your name, and then that's supposed to be
That's
when
how
you
it
talk.
goes, right? All right. And nevertheless, so when we look at Juneteenth, and we look at, it was this day on 3 years ago when it became a federal holiday. And when we look at Juneteenth, not everyone knows that Juneteenth is actually when there was the Army went down, the Union Army went down to Texas to let the slaves know and the slaveholders know that they had been freed. It had been 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years. And the message didn't go to all the people who were still being enslaved. And so it was June 19th in Texas, in Galveston, Texas, where the word got out. And then since that time, that's been known as Emancipation Day, Freedom Day. And so it's been celebrated in black communities well before it was signed into federal law. And when we think about the horrors of slavery, it's not that long ago when you put it in perspective. Some say, "Oh, that happened before my time," but actually, I'll show an artifact with you. And so this is this used to be a manuscript that got published into a book. So this is my father's grandfather. His name is Jasper. And so when I was a little kid, we had to read the manuscripts at my grandmother's house before we could go swim or do anything. So we learned about a lot of this stuff a long time ago. He wanted us to have good knowledge of our family. And when you look at Jasper here, my father's grandfather, it's a couple of generations before him. His mother, Ellen, and was born into slavery, sold, and then his grandmother, Lucy, was born into slavery, was actually the slave owner's granddaughter, and he had her sold to save face for his daughter. And so, but when you go back and you look at all of this piece, we're only talking about 6 generations from where I am to where they were. And so when you think about the continued struggles that African Americans face, while we've come a long way, there are still challenges yet to be overcome. And so when we go and we celebrate Juneteenth, and you look at all the work that has been done, despite the challenges, there's still more work to be done. And I would say, I love my country, but there's some things that has happened in the country that I don't love. But this is why we all have to continue to work together to make it better, not just for African Americans, but for all people. So Juneteenth is a time for everyone to celebrate. I'll kick it back over to you, Jim.
And I received your kickoff. Ed, I appreciate that piece of history. That was really interesting. And again, I don't think we ever should have an occasion or some sort of challenging history time not be discussed at our town meetings. And so that's something that we can, I want to make sure that we bring that to the table every time. So I really do appreciate that. That's an interesting take on it. And I was just reading that, our it's not that long ago. So when the grandson of, I think it was the 11th president, Tyler, is still alive, the grandson of that 11th president is still alive, that means that's just connected so close to where your people came from and the discussion points that you guys had, which is super interesting. So that's quite an education process. Thank you.
So where can people go if they want to be part of the celebration and the honoring of Juneteenth? There is a really amazing celebration going on in Scotland, which is like Cabin John area, right? Is there anything closer to us? I know there was the Germantown one over the weekend.
The closest
Any
thing-
on Juneteenth Day?
The bigger celebrations were done over in Germantown, and this one's sponsored by the city of Rockville, city of Gaithersburg.
Done over the weekend.
That was done over the weekend.
Do any of our historic Black communities?
That's an area for us to really improve here in
Yeah, I was
Poolesville.
just thinking that.
Oh, yeah, it is, and so,
Like probably personally in their homes, but in terms of
yeah,
like a
privately, there's a
community-wide-
lot of things that happen. And so, since we opened that door, one of the things that I've learned over the years is that there are folks right outside of Poolesville who, when I was elected commissioner, they took a second look, because I'm the first African American to serve in this capacity. But historically has been some challenges where folks on the outside doesn't feel like they're part of the inside. And so and for me growing up in Silver Spring, I didn't know that until I got into this. With all that being said, there's still work to be done, and I think that's something we could look at for next year, is how we could do some type of celebration, but including some of the young people from the school as well as some of the other people who live on the outskirts. So we look at Poolesville and beyond.
Agreed. And we're going to actually do a little something in basketball camp in terms of an education process for that tomorrow. So the counselors have put something together. So
I wonder
Appreciate
if
that.
one of our like Friday night at the Commons, like whichever one is closest to Juneteenth, could become, I don't know, an opportunity in the future. Obviously not this year, but
no, and we have to be careful with that. So yeah, I think if it's possible to do that, it would be great. I mean, it is possible to do that, but we have to watch our themes, and like I wouldn't want to tie it in with Bark in the Park. So you have
Yeah,
to-
you wouldn't-
No,
yeah.
of course not. I would say
I
that would
mean-
become the theme,
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah, well,
right?
let's talk to our people about it.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, thank you for that. That was a nice presentation, right in line with what I was hoping for, Ed. I appreciate you bringing that conversation to us. Mine is I'm going to keep it short. It was wonderful to observe Pride Fest with everybody, and the vibe there at Locals was amazing. Tons of credit goes to Dave and Sandy for creating the environment that a Pride Fest could take place, and it was just a fantastic event. I mean, just one of the best. I actually I was invited to speak at a bicycle tourism symposium, which kind of, I know that, I think for 20 years here, people in Poolesville couldn't stand bicyclists. So I was like, all right, we're going to talk about why we want them to come now, which was awesome. And we had a really good discussion with a big group of bicyclists that come from all over.
Where was
And
it?
Talk about all that stuff. It was down county at the Quince Orchard High School cafeteria. So, and it was a week ago, and it was a good time. And actually, the people all love Poolesville, and so I got to hear a lot about how much they like what we have going on in town. But it was just more of an awareness thing, and to talk about our streetscape plans and how we plan to be very pro bicycle as time goes on. And got the chance to talk about the other things we do. I mean, this is such a great time. Between Pride Fest and we have an event coming up this Friday night. We have our town kids camp starting up. We've got basketball camp all this week. I mean, school ended and like things just got cranked up, it seemed like. So that's just a great part about our town. We have a little bit of something for everybody. When the tornado came through, that was an amazing time, as everybody knows. And I've heard that the video that I posted, which was meant to be genuine, but in listening to it was hilarious. I've had a lot of calls from a lot of different places about it and talking about, what that was like for the town and for us to experience that. But I did want to say that we had great kind of a connection point where all of the elected officials that really care about us were on the phone that night or the next morning talking about where we were and what was going on with how the tornado affected the community. I mean, and we have a congressman that's leaving. He was the first one to call, and it was him, not one of his people, Congressman Trone. And then Marilyn Balcom called, Andrew Friedson we spoke with, our delegates, Linda and David Fraser-Odago, Senator Feldman called. And then I got a call from a staffer for Governor Moore, and he said, are you available to speak to Governor Moore? And I said, yeah, sure, that's fine. They're like, hold on. And then it clicked me through, and I'm laying in bed. It's like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, Governor Moore is calling. Okay, let's try and turn down the TV and have a conversation with him. So anyway, he was really generous with his time, gave me about 20 minutes, which I'm sure was pretty amazing considering how busy he is. And we talked about the tornado. We talked about White's Ferry. We talked about all the things we have going on. I talked to him about coming here for Poolesville Day. He said his people did know about it. I said, that obviously we'd give him a forum to speak if he wanted to come to Poolesville Day and to the breakfast. And so anyway, it was just a good general conversation. It was kind of amusing. I said, Aruna is kind of our neighbor. And he goes, oh, is that so? Where is that? And I was like, well, all right, so now you're, I get it. But I said, it's like 10 minutes away. She's right around the corner. He goes, oh, I'll talk to her about that then. But anyway, you couldn't have asked for more genuine, caring, wasn't in a hurry to get me off the phone, just wanted to talk about everything that we had going on in this region. So it was nice to have that connection. And I know that people have been trying to, and I know, Ed, you have some pathways there, but people have been trying to kind of get a connection with the governor's office and to have that phone call come through and really genuinely care about what we have going on in our area, and then also wanting to hear more about our issues and the things that we're trying to do. He did know about fair access, which was cool. And he was just basically wanted to connect. So I thought that was very genuine and super cool and kind of exciting and very unexpected.
Yeah.
So it was
Do you have
good.
a plan to solve White's Ferry?
Well, I'm not at liberty to talk about the plan that we think might be happening. So, but yes, we could talk offline about that. Yep. Didn't hear from Mark Elrich's office, but then did hear from Greg Wims afterwards. So he had his bases covered and did a good job. And Greg's great, of course. So anyway, that was kind of an exciting evening and morning. And that, it seems like it was just, yesterday, but it was almost 2 weeks ago. A heck of a time. That's all I have. I know we have Link and I have a couple of meetings that are coming up for various people, and we'll inform everybody on once we get those out of the way. So, all right, very good. Anybody else? Any questions? Jeff, nothing else came to mind in the 20 minutes since we haven't heard from you? Okay.
I did have a.
Oh, I knew I shouldn't have asked. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you opened the box, so there you go. No, I did have. We all received an email from a certain gentleman about the, just about the Pride Fest. So you saw the answer back that I sent to him, thanking him for attending and thanking for providing the input that he provided. So
that was the gentleman, and speaking on behalf of him and his husband from Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
email.
It's a lovely.
That was a super nice email. Period. That was great.
It was very kind of him to share his thoughts about it. Yes.
Yeah. And he said he visited several other stores while in Poolesville and discovered Poolesville and thought it was a really great place.
And I spoke with those guys, and I actually gave them my my president card and not my real estate card. I just want everybody to know that up front.
Isn't it double-sided?
That's a good one, Jeff. That was good.
Jeff, on his game. See, I went back to you, and then you do that to me. That's good. Yeah, that's perfect.
Just answer the question.
Yeah, yeah, just answer the question.
So for the sake of moving forward,
Yeah, that's it. All right, so everybody, thanks for your reports. We have more to come here, obviously. So public comment, Tom, are you up for any sort of public comment? We didn't give you a chance to sign in on anything, not that there's anything to sign in on. Thank you.
I mean, it's such a raucous crowd tonight, I think.
I know, there's barely
We'll be
room.
quick to get you out of here. Tom Kettler, 17917. Wanted to come actually, and I think I texted a picture to Jim a couple days ago. I just here as a board member of Historic Medley District. One of my side projects the last 4 or 5 years is trying to deal with the lighting. And again, the HMD really appreciates the town's support of what they're doing down there at that end of town between Old Town Hall and the John Poole House. But we've been working on getting lighting. It's bugged me forever to get the lighting back up on Old Town Hall.
You had it for a while.
By way of backstory, we had, and I don't want to go on forever,
Yeah,
but
go on.
we had put a light on top of the little porch that's over top of it 10 years ago, longer, and it was up there for 3 or 4 years, as well as lighting up the side of the building. It looked great. You could see Poolesville when you drove in at night. But then the building is in the easement with Maryland Historic Trust. So they came out one day and said, that light's not in keeping with the historic nature of the building. And so Maureen, didn't want to get, ruffle feathers. So she told me to have our people take the light down, which we did. But then ever since we took it down, I'm like, we got to figure out a way to get it lit back up again. So, and we also didn't, the other thing that bothered me is we didn't have a light on the, maybe 50 years ago, there was a light on the flag, but it never really functioned properly on the American flag that's up there. So we did 3 things last week. We got a light on the American flag, which you can't see from on top of the roof. We've got a new light over top of the fire escape, which is a safety issue, which is on a motion detector. So if you come out of the building at night, the light will come on and it'll light the stairs. And the third thing was we put some LED. If you're familiar with LED, it's very low profile light. Lights don't burn out, et cetera, et cetera. And we went underneath of where it says Poolesville and lit it up. And they actually were able to bring lights. The Worthington brothers, who I'd never met before, but
Yeah, great. Yep,
they were
local.
new members of the Poolesville Chamber. So
Yes.
me being a shop local kind of guy,
Did a good job there, Tom.
but yeah, they're really
I saw those guys, total
sweet
pros.
guys. Yeah, very great. Yeah, 2 brothers actually.
Yep,
So,
2 pros.
What does the business do?
they're electricians.
Electrician.
They're also some general contracting, but I think their father was a builder, I think, so we started swapping building stories. But
they live on- off of
I think they're
109.
from maybe Dickerson, I think.
Yeah, they're between Bellsville and
Yeah,
Barnesville.
but they just were right on, they created they came up with the solution, because I really had to do something that didn't fire up the historic trust people, so you cannot tell that there are lights up there now, except at light. So I'm just encouraging everybody, if the meeting drags on too late tonight, or the next night, just drive on up there after 9:30 and you'll see it. Looks great, looks fantastic, so.
Looks great, and you guys, looks like you've dodged the ills that caused you to have to remove the lights last time too, so the LED strip's nice.
Yeah,
It
you
was about
can't-
the visible appearance of the lights themselves.
Yeah, they're literally mounted underneath of the sign. They're very, very thin, and you just can't
No, it looks
see
good. Looks
And the
fantastic.
other thing was kind of funny, when they were up in the attic pulling the power over, they came back and said they found an old check or deposit record from 1917 in the attic.
Wow.
It had fallen
Really?
out of somebody's box, and it talked about, it was like a note, I think, to the Federal Reserve, saying it was, $7,000 or something, and they were thinking it was like somebody's deposit. I said, no, I think in 1917, that might have been every bit of penny that was in the town of Poolesville
Right.
National Bank in 1870.
Right, that could have been just a
1917,
record.
so they were just reporting to the federal,
Wow.
whatever, this is what they have on deposit. It's interesting. So I saved that little piece of paper. It's stuck in a little file over there, so. At any rate, but I just wanted to, give you that feedback, so if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, and we're excited about it, so. And we'll keep on keeping on, so.
That's awesome, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And can you, did they save that receipt? Did they have that? Or
What?
give it
Oh,
to-
yeah, they brought it out of the attic, and I said it's inside the, it's a little bit, it needs to stay a little dry.
Right.
So I've just got it in one of the glass cases in the front lobby. Nobody else on my board has seen it yet. Maureen O'Connell's, I think, out of the country visiting her daughter in London. I don't think she's back yet, so that's why I thought I'd just pop up tonight and let you guys know about it.
That's awesome. It's, that was coincidentally, that was the year my house was built, so maybe that was the note saying it was paid off.
Exactly.
I might need you to take a picture of it for me.
Yeah, we'll snap it and send it. to
Send it if you don't
No
mind.
reference to
Right.
the Jim Brown house,
One,
but it's
just,
it's
no,
possible.
well, there was a little bit of Bodmer or Campbell at that point, so,
That's pretty interesting.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Hey,
That's good news.
Speaking of Old Town Hall, we did forget to mention that there was a round table there. There were so many
Right.
exciting things on Saturday.
Saturday, right.
But
It was a busy
Christine
weekend,
Ray
right.
did a round table there,
Good.
and I think they actually had a member from the Piscataway tribe there with her.
Great. Did they have a good
Part of the
turnout for that? What do you?
presentation. And yes, I understand that they had good, like 30, 40
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, wow.
people, and the John Poole House was open during Pride Fest, and
Right.
people were moving through there. I think
Right.
They kind of all thought it was part of the event, too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it was,
I think John Pentecost volunteered. It's always, the issue is always, like I was at a wedding in Ohio this weekend, so I wasn't
Yeah.
any good to anybody, but yeah, it's interesting, obviously, that the John Poole House has gotten much more, when we're able to open it, has obviously gotten much more
Yeah.
visibility.
right,
because of
especially when
locals.
there's
You
people
couldn't
right
even
there.
see it.
They don't, yeah, they don't even know it's back there.
Yeah, I mean, before Locals was built, it was all just overgrown on that side. so it's
That's great. That's a nice
new face,
combo.
but we just, we're working on trying to figure out something to do to get, and the board, we're 6, 8 or 10 member board, so we just need to
Yeah.
expand our circle of docents.
It's nice to see that historical area really hopping
Yeah, yeah.
and still being used and still.
Yeah, and then the old, and the old town hall, first floor has really been cleared out now, so it makes it much more conducive for a meeting.
Yeah.
We've stored all the historical artifacts in the basement from the Civil War stuff, so now it's opened up, and we still need to do, obviously, it's a work in process, of course, so.
And also, too, I want to give them credit, give you guys credit and Maureen credit, because the actual, the money they asked for and the money and the reasons why it was asked for
Right.
have all been accomplished and are visible and noteworthy. So it's, it's,
we worked hard to.
it's
try-
nice. It's really good. Those,
Combination of, there's obviously two issues. One is the physical state of the building, and two is the the programmatic stuff. But obviously, if the building falls down, programs aren't going to matter. So
yeah, the
town
cleanliness.
hall seems to be pretty,
Yeah, the cleanliness of the work, as well as what was done to make the vault truly an interesting place to go and have it be accessible without being worried about being locked in.
Right.
That was that's a big deal about the usability of
Yeah.
that building.
And a couple of weeks ago, I went to an Eagle. I don't think I'd ever been to an Eagle. What do they call it? The Eagle.
Eagle Scout Award.
Yeah, the
Scouts.
honor thing for Jacqua.
Yeah, it was Jack.
Yeah, and it was right in the front lawn of John Poole House, which of course is right next to his house. So that was very cool. Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
Nice turn.
Yeah.
Very awesome. So.
And well, speaking of Jack, he did a great job. His Eagle Scout project was to
Yeah.
do to pave
Yeah, the
the
gravel.
parking lot for the John Poole
Fantastic.
House.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that where they got that amazing parking lot?
Yeah,
they have
that
now?
was
Yeah,
his Eagle Scout.
That was an Eagle Scout project.
Yeah.
It was
Jack Welsh.
amazing.
Yeah.
We did, all the vendors were able to drive up separately.
Right.
On that side.
Yeah, that's kind of
so great.
parking lot. We're hoping not too many people know about it. 'Cause that's my secret parking space when I go at Locals. If it's,
Yeah, it looks really good. They did a good job. You're right about that.
thanks.
All right, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Very good. Approval of the minutes for the June 3rd, 2024 meeting. I believe we're all there for that one. So, someone make a motion.
Motion Martin, go for it.
Motion, Martin.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for the June 3rd, 2024 meeting.
I second his motion.
Motion, Martin. Second, Ed. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Opposed? Nobody? All, that's been approved. Thank you for that. Appreciate both the motion and the second. New business, we don't have anything underneath that right now. Unless somebody has something they want to suggest that's off agenda for the time being? No?
No.
Okay, very good. Old business, ordinance 229, forest conservation. Wade?
Yes, we introduced this ordinance May 20th, had a public hearing on June 3rd, and this updates our code to be in compliance with the state code as far as reforestation goes. There's a couple little amendments we made from the last meeting, and we included some clarity in for the reduction from 40,000 to 20,000 square foot, that is for the area of disturbance only, not the lot size itself. And then for the photovoltaics facilities, They're not subject to afforestation, and I included another clause that says, however, this does not exempt them from the process or reforestation itself. So just a couple points for clarification, and that's it, and it's ready to go as is.
Very good. And that also clarified the Bernie Mim scenario that he proposed, and that was the 40 to 20 and talked about
Disturbance, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Does everybody know what we're doing here with this and why it's out there?
Well, may I just ask a clarification? So Wade, my understanding is that a developer can use the opportunity to plant the trees in an area that's not where the development is being built. Is that correct?
That's one of the opportunities, yes.
Well, I thought that was the only opportunity.
No, well, it could be a fee in lieu also, but if we look at our code currently, we do not allow solar arrays that generate electricity for off-site use. We only allow for on-site use. So really, this is not even applicable to us at this time.
Well, one other thing that you just mentioned, and I thought I asked this at the last commissioners meeting, and I thought that we were abolishing the fee in lieu.
We did, the rest of the state didn't.
Okay, well, I see that as a good thing. I mean, the state can certainly follow our lead if they wish.
Right. They like money.
But there's two different categories, right? One is forestation and the other is parks. No? Is that a different code?
No, the park, we do allow park fee in lieu, yes.
Right, okay, so that was a distinction then. So for reforestation, we do not, but for parks, we do permit that.
That's correct.
Okay, swell, thank you, Wade.
Well, Jim stepped out,
Yeah.
so
We'll give it a minute. You know,
maybe,
Hey, Wade, I guess this is off topic for this particular agenda item since we're talking about reforestation. But do you think there's any opportunity for us to abolish the fee in lieu when it comes to parks?
You know, it may be worth a discussion, but it'll be an education point. There's some development that occurs that is your best option, because if you have like a 3-lot subdivision and they're gonna give you like, you know, a couple thousand square foot for a park, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And so that's why we still accept the fee in lieu for that.
Oh, I see, okay. Okay,
because the park
thanks.
would be too small to
For
really
anything.
be a usable park. Okay. Okay.
okay, Jim?
Good, got it. Jeff, any further questions on that?
I had, but Wade answered them, thank you.
Good. So we need to vote on this. I don't think we have any special language besides saying that we vote to potentially approve or make a motion for 229 forest conservation to be approved by
To adopt it, yep.
to adopt it, yeah. So,
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance number 229, Town of Poolesville, Maryland, Forest Conservation.
motion been made by Martin. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second from Sarah. Any other questions on it? We've hashed this out already, pretty good. All right, very good. All those in favor of approval of ordinance 229 as per the motion, forest conservation, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Great, that's been approved. Thank you for that, Wade. Appreciate the background. Commemorative flag policy. Wade, want to bring us up to date a little bit from how we left it and where we are?
Sure, we had a great discussion last time, and we talked about kind of like the structure of the policy itself and how we could lay it out. One of the biggest issues was where and how it would be displayed, that we still need to discuss and resolve. And also, I found a Library of Congress has a list of National Heritage Months that's pretty inclusive, and it gives us a starting point of our guiding point for us that we could use for part of our, bringing flags in on a monthly basis or however we want to do that. So it's not just arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody has a copy of that. And I emailed a copy of it to you, Jeff.
Oh, yes, I received it, thank you, Wade.
Okay, very good. So, again, last month we left it that we had to decide a few things. One would be where and when for display. The next was to have this list that we could kind of rely on, that has been, we thought maybe National League of Cities, et cetera. There's a number of kind of official and unofficial groups that have suggested lists, but this seemed to be the one that had, that was basically in congruence with a bunch of other ones as well. So it made sense. And then the last is that, so we talked about where and when, how the list is, what would the list potentially be? And then also too, was the flag policy that was suggested and then worked over by the town, was it sufficient in order to help give us the guidance that we're looking for? So with that, I leave it back out to the commissioners for.
Well, may I ask another
Sure.
question?
This is it. Yeah, you're on.
Well, I think I asked the very same question last time, but I wasn't, entirely happy with the answer. Maybe the answer is going to be the same again. So, but I wasn't really too keen on the fact that a resident is supposed to come to a commissioner to request a flag be flown, and then the commissioner is supposed to bring that to the meeting.
No, commissioners are able to bring a recommendation or a request to the rest of the body. Where he gets that or she gets that request from is another thing.
But if I can
Well, okay,
interrupt
let's just
here-
make a hypothetical example.
Go.
Someone,
Go ahead, Jeff.
well, I was just gonna say, so someone comes to me and they want to fly the Ben and Jerry's flag because Ronald Reagan said that July 15th is a National Ice Cream Day. Now, do I just say no to them?
Just like if they ask you to put it in your own yard, would you say yes or no to it? You have that option.
Well, yes, it's
correct.
fine. I love Ben and Jerry's, but I don't think they belong in the Wayland Commons. I mean, I know I'm making hyperbole, but this,
I
You know,
thought the whole
sometimes
point
we-
of the policy is that residents cannot request for flags, period. That our list is generated by town staff. The commissioners ultimately approve the list, but we are not the ones who generate the list. And I think that's also, like, I think we need to not waste our time during our discussion of the general policy, trying to come up with a list. It's kind of like the whole chicken and egg thing with zoning. Like, let's just agree on the general policy first, and then the specifics of what's included in it comes afterwards. And we don't generate that list, the town staff do.
Well, I was hoping.
I see this quite,
Jeff, this might answer your question, and what I was hoping was is this list here that Wade gave us from the Library of Congress. In my mind, like, I'm hesitant to have like open season on people who want to come forward with their Ben and Jerry's flags, whatever, because there's a lot of great causes. Maybe Ben and Jerry's isn't one, but and I just don't want it to turn into like something where everything gets diluted because everything can only be up for a day and a half because there's so many different things. I like the notion of this list from the Library of Congress because this can be, in my mind, open and shut. Like, this is, if somebody comes with a good cause, nice person, whatever, we say sorry, but like, we've adopted the Library of Congress's list, and that's the list we're using, and, case closed. I don't know how you guys all feel about that, but I think there's something appealing to that like, we have like it's not just arbitrary, we have like a list we're going by, and, we can honor each thing on this
So
list
to
for a
that
month
end,
or
we should be
whatever.
scratching, we should, delete the unscheduled displays
Yes.
paragraph.
Yes,
That would solve that issue.
Proposed flag policy.
yes.
Yeah, that.
It restricts you
this would
guys more,
cancel
but-
that.
Yeah.
And I think for the ease of like, for the time being, there's been some discussion offline amongst like,
Yeah, that would
one-on-one
move the
discussion
line.
that this could be adopted sooner rather than later, and at the very least, we could put this on the new LED sign that should be up and running any day now. And, if we want to discuss an actual flag pole and all that, like that's a whole nother beast that might take more time, but it would be nice to have, the
Yeah, an approved list and approved policy.
and before the end of June, so we can honor, the Pride thing and then move on to whatever the next month is.
Yeah, and I think if we remove the unscheduled display lines, a couple of lines there, and then if there's ever an issue, like anything else, if there's ever an issue where we need to revisit it, then any commissioner can bring it and have it put on the agenda and say, hey, we want to relook at the policy.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
we could also, to that end, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Ed. We could, if the commissioners so decided, and this would be something I thought about because since we have elections every 2 years, is that after the November election, town staff could either propose a revised list or a list that's here, or a suggestion could be made, and that group of commissioners could make the decision on whether the list is revised or not, or another list is adopted. But just have it be so that we always operate off, the list is established, the list can be renewed it can be every 2 years. We can do it after we have elections, because we're representing the people. And have that, and then have that list either adopted or modified, and put it like a time frame on it, so that it's, it has to be done by a certain time, so that calendar year, next year, we're up and running again.
I don't even know if you need to go that far. I mean, when a new group of commissioners come in, they're going to be well aware of this policy, and if there's a consensus that they want to change it or, bring it up for discussion or whatever, they can just do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Doesn't
think we
have to
can
be
just.
built into it, you're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and that's fine by me too. I just want to make sure that everybody gets a voice.
I think we could
I don't have a
adopt.
problem with
Well,
that.
I mean, they will have a voice because if John Smith gets elected or whatever, and like people are like, hey, I don't like this policy, then he or if
But
she-
puts it on the agenda.
Yeah, he's going to put it on the agenda and they're going to discuss it. I like the notion of just adopting this and if it falls at some point, it falls at some point.
Well, adopting this and then also making the changes as suggested to the policy to take away the randomness or the
I support
the
that.
short term.
Yes.
And then, and the only reason I just wanted to finish the thought before we get moved on. There, again, there's no January designation here. There's no December piece to it. There's no April. I mean, there may be months where things get added on, and this is like, we can decide this is our index for right now. Is this
I think there's plenty-
Library of
there's-
Congress list?
I suspect there's plenty to go on the LED sign anyway, without having so. I don't know. Again, I'll reiterate what I said before. I worry that if April's empty and we start filling in things in, then someone's going to.
No, I don't want to fill it in, but I want to.
My neighbor got cancer awareness added. What can we add? Whatever, and then you start to get into this free for all.
So I think, so to that point, I think that we take a close look at what Library of Congress is doing, and if the whole going back to the original purpose of it in the first place was inclusivity, and so are there any groups that we might think are being overlooked by the Library of Congress? When I first look at it, I don't, but then it's worth a second look just to see, or at any point, we can always, so my recommendation is that we adopt the Library of Congress piece, but we also have a mechanism if there's something that we are just totally missing,
Of course.
and then it comes back to us, we can also just say, hey, we need to make a modification, and we vote on it.
Well, that's a great thing. We can always change policy.
Yeah,
and
make the
we
policy,
can do it
you
quickly
can
if we need
vote
to.
and change it as
So
needed.
this could be used as a guidance for policy.
Yeah.
I think you frame it that way, that kind of allows something else.
I really support the removing of the unscheduled displays because that takes out the line, the commissioner will consider a request in a public meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
I agree, that opens up a can of worms. And it kind of almost is contradictory to where it says earlier that residents can't request, because we're also saying that they can in a public meeting. So I think that will make the whole policy a lot tighter. I think that sometimes I'm hearing this all or nothing mentality of if we don't say that we're just basing it on the Library of Congress, then we have to consider everything. I think the fact is that we all are reasonable people, and I think we can have a conversation about life's complicated, right? There's going to be reasons why something might need to be on this list that isn't here. The one thing that stands out to me is maybe mental health, autism. I think that there's a real conversation to be had in terms of inclusivity and greater understanding in our communities. And I think that that is perhaps separate from Disability Awareness Month, although I guess you could also tie it under that.
It is, it's separate.
But that's about the only thing that immediately comes to mind. But I like, Ed, the idea that let's remember the motivation for
The spirit of the policy.
spirit of it, right, and not limit ourselves too much. So, yeah. And then I would like to continue to discuss where. I don't love the electronic sign.
But can we agree that for now, the electronic sign is a good starting point?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
anything is a good starting point.
Yeah.
Totally.
So if we look at our next step, so the first piece, can we all be in agreement that we take out the paragraph we've been talking about?
Yes, the
Yes.
unscheduled
The unscheduled
displays should be
displays.
removed.
And while we're doing that, is there anything else that needs to be modified or changed to that specifically? That aspect of the policy? Everybody can take a harder look at it. That's the only one that jumped out to me.
I don't think so, because I don't think we need to limit the staff by saying that a staff-generated list and then tell them the only place that they can look. I think we, maybe even the words that, the instructions that we give along with a policy that just says like, hey, something like this,
Right, pretty simple.
Then you're
I
not
think is
boxed
fine.
in.
Then you're not boxed in. Right.
Well, if I may add, and of course, I'm not Jay Gullo, but I'm trying to remember his email. And his email said that if we'd write a policy, we'd run the greatest risk of not sticking to it. So I for one, would be very much in favor of adopting the Library of Congress list exclusive, and that we do not consider anything in addition to that unless the Library of Congress adds to their list. Because I'm just remembering the email, and you can look it up on your email, I'm sure, that other jurisdictions got in trouble because they had a policy or they didn't have a policy, and if they did have a policy, they didn't stick to it. So I think the Library of Congress list is very defensible. I think if we just try and add, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but just add random things to the list, then everything kind of starts to fall apart.
I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, like, you know, if we were to add a very worthy cause, autism awareness, you could have somebody come in here with a really great case for something and really feel passionate about it, and then on and on and on and on. And, you know, at that point, does it start to, like, you know, dilute everything? Are we having like 3 different messages every day? And is that a problem? I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Well, I don't think that anything in this policy says that we're going to prove 50, 60 causes and have more than one flag a month. I think that you're again, you're kind of going to these extremes of like, if we do one thing, then that means we have to do everything. I don't think that's what we're saying. I think the policy clearly says that it's a staff-generated list, so it's not random, and it's not coming from residents directly, so it's staff-generated. We can provide some guidelines as to what's the spirit of this policy, and then we can have a reasonable conversation and maybe make some complex decisions about which ones we decide to approve for each month. But then once that list is approved, we've abided by our policy, and that's.
That works for me. I like the notion of like finding what we all agree on and then closing it until, you know,
Next year.
until another commissioner comes along and wants to address it,
Or every 2 years.
or if we find a reason to, you know, to readdress it.
And keep in mind that a flag policy is different than messaging, because
Right.
a flag is a flag, a message. So if there was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, there's nothing that would stop us to say we want to just acknowledge.
have
You
Wellness
could-
Wednesdays on
Right,
Breast
you can
Cancer
acknowledge,
Awareness.
'cause- so it's not a flag.
Doesn't have to be a flag.
So it's important not to take every cause and box it into a flag.
Yeah.
Right, because you
Yeah.
could have something that says, for Mental Health Month, we're
Yeah.
going to partner with so-and-so, and there's some program that we're going to do at Town Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is
Right.
separate issues.
Yeah,
because
they
we do the
become
blue lights for
separate.
Autism Month out here on Town Hall, and we've done
Yeah.
breast awareness stuff. So, yeah, we do that
Do
message.
you all have your own policy for that?
For the signboard, we do have electronic signboard policy, yes.
So this gets down, the 2 things that I'm concerned about are, I mean, everything we've said is fine, but I'd like to see it go into, I'd like to see us enact a policy sooner rather than later, so that we can, when that thing's working, which hopefully will be any day now, we can get stuff on there. But I also want us to make sure that we write it carefully so that it's like, that Jay's on board and like,
No, everything you have in here, Jay's on board with,
Okay.
just follow what you write. I mean,
That's where you get in trouble. Boston got in trouble because they didn't follow what they.
Well, they didn't
what
write
wrote.
anything.
no, I get it.
So
first
they,
time they didn't, that's right.
yeah, and so you got to have a policy, and then you stick with your policy.
Are we able to sort of revise this policy right now and like we're like as per our discussion and vote on it?
Yeah, definitely, I think, so we already said we're taking out the unscheduled display, that's out. Location to display, if the location's going to be electronic sign, we'll just plug that in.
Okay.
That's the way it's gonna be for right now. And then,
And I just want to be clear, Wade. Are we adopting the list that you sent out by email?
I'm getting ready to talk about that right now. So when we talk about the
Okay.
commemorative flags, and it says they're non-governmental flags, and I think we should just say, as a guidance, we're using the Library of Congress's list. And that leaves enough fudge factor for staff to add something in or something to bring to the commissioners in January when they actually set out the whole year.
So using it as guidelines, not as the definitive list.
Yes.
I can get on board with that.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
All good.
Well, could you clarify that, please? Wade?
It will say exactly that the list from the National Library of Congress will act as a guidance for the flag displays.
Well, I'd rather have the word say the exclusive list. Because I think we start getting into the weeds when we
Well,
leave it
why-
upon ourselves
Yeah.
to say yes
I
or no.
don't think I want to
Like
be.
being boxed in.
Yeah, I don't want to be boxed in by that. I think Jeff, we still get the same strength by just saying that we use that list as our guidance.
And I would just refer you back to the first page of the first side, which talks about you can't have so many different flags, religious movement or creed, to avoid any endorsing a religious or particular religious movement or creed.
Maybe we add commercial
There's no, yeah, you can't
to
have.
take into Ben and Jerry's. That's what we want to.
Don't make me hungry.
Discriminatory
Move
themes.
along.
Yeah.
Sexual, explicit, lewd, obscene themes, materials. I mean, it's pretty, there's so many things that it can't be, there's not that many things that it can be, except what's on the list and a few things.
Yeah, Jeff, we don't know.
Well,
I hear about it. I hear.
I question that.
I don't hear any benefit. I hear what you're saying, Jeff, but I don't see a direct benefit by boxing us in to whatever is published and whenever it's published by the Library of Congress. I think it's very strong to say that the staff-generated list will be based on what is provided by the Library of Congress. That's it. We don't have to go further than that. We don't need more.
And Jeff, keep in mind that if this does become a problem, we're the ones that create the policy, we can change it, like it's just.
So that'll be after the lawsuit.
I don't see anything
Because we wouldn't change it unless we had
I
a
mean,
good
listen,
motivation.
Jeff, if Jay has looked over this policy and said that he feels sufficiently comfortable with the policy that we've chosen, I don't know why you're concerned that he's missed something.
Well, I'm just going back to the email that Jay sent, and he had those 3 lines on there. One was the greatest whiskey you have no, and I shouldn't be trying to quote this line for line because I don't have it in front of me. But I do remember the one was the greatest whiskey if you have no policy.
Yeah, no
this-
risk is do nothing and don't put any other flags off. The greatest
which I-
risk is have no policy and put flags up. We're not doing that either. And the middle is there bears some risk, but you reduce or limit your risk by having a policy and sticking to it. And the fact is, nothing in life is risk-free unless you do nothing. And I don't think we want to be a government that does nothing.
There.
And I think that is
Well,
very similar. It's
this
very-
has worked for
Jeff,
quite a long while.
But it's very similar to, just like we might do things our own Poolesville way than what Montgomery County might do. We might not do
Yes.
everything just,
Right, right
and
on.
so we don't have to necessarily agree with everything the county government does, but where we can make our own decisions, then we take that latitude.
Well, I guess my second thought is, if we adopt the Library of Congress list, but then say we can amend it, I see no value in adopting the Library of Congress list to begin with.
That's why it's a guideline.
It's a guideline. Jeff, everything's amendable, by the way. All it has to do is be presented to this board and something could be amended. It's really hard to say that something can't be amended.
We're actually founded on a country that.
Of amendments.
That we're being able to amend things is part of who we are. That's
Not
why the
saying, and
Constitution.
not saying
is
we're not
lasting.
going to either, and not saying we are or we're not going to.
Well, I would like to see the can kind of sealed up and saying whatever the Library of Congress adds or subtracts from the list, that we adopt that, we keep up with the Library of Congress list, that we don't go rogue and just say, well, we're going to adopt the Library of Congress list, plus whatever else we want.
I think there's some
I see no
freedom.
value in that.
There's freedom in being able to use something that works as a guideline, but not being boxed in. And so we have to be of sound mind, make good judgments, and that's why if you have a majority vote, then you move forward.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that at all. I see being boxed in as a protection for Poolesville. And my motivation is to protect Poolesville, just because, I think that's one of the reasons why we were elected to be a commissioner is not to do, things that might put Poolesville in jeopardy. Now, I don't see this as being something that's going to put Poolesville in immediate jeopardy, but apparently it has put other jurisdictions in jeopardy.
Well, what we're talking about potentially adopting, Jeff, I think we have plenty of protection in there. I think that again, I tend to agree with Jay's, assessment of risk and non-risk. But at the same time, I think this bridges the gap between us worried about risk or not worried about risk. We have a policy. And the Library of Congress is a very conservative organization. They're not, you notice there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, there's only 7 out of 12 months even listed on here. So I think that you've got a guideline that's well-established, voted on, amended, et cetera, by several bodies, and gives us those guardrails. I think it's very specific about how those guardrails are going to be used. Anything can be adopted, amended. Anything can be amended. So to say that we're not going to amend that just rubs me the wrong way. We can't say that. I mean, we can say that, but I also, too, I want to give you a word of caution, and I appreciate the good conversation on this. But say we reach, that we have a voting point here that we're approaching, and we still have to decide exactly and have a discussion about how the flag would be displayed. If I were you, I wouldn't necessarily be the person that votes 4-1 if that ends up being that way against adopting a policy, hanging yourself up on those words of exclusive and hard guidelines. I'm saying this as a fellow commissioner to a fellow commissioner. It's something to consider because we've come a long way. We've had a lot of discussion on this. This gives us the guardrails. The policy has been vetted several times over, including by the town attorney. I think it's time that we kind of look at it for what it is and then figure out and have that display conversation and then reduce variables in this conversation. So you're well represented. I get it.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you said, but I would like to see the final written policy, and I would like to have Jay look at that before we vote on it.
But he's already looked at it, right?
Yes, the only thing we're adding is kind of some guidelines to it.
I think the piece that we're taking out is the bigger loophole that can get us in trouble versus.
The biggest loophole.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
we just remove that piece out.
Well said.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I had caution about was.
Well, I agree with you on that. Well, I had a question about that component as well. But I think now that we're saying we're going to have this list, but any other list that we can
Well,
think of will be added, I
even
think
if-
that has a level of complication that Jay hasn't
It was
commented on.
already at that level of confidence.
Yeah, it was
Right.
The way it was currently written when Jay reviewed it, it was much
Loose.
wider, and we've actually only narrowed the scope, so,
We reduced vulnerability.
right.
And so what happens, even with the list, let's say if Wade never produced the list, and we just met tonight, and we didn't have the list, then we probably would have got to this point where we take out unscheduled displays, that paragraph. And what this list just does is a great tool to have guidelines, so there's not personal opinions and feelings. And so I've read through, since we've been doing this, I've been reading through a lot of different policies, but I have yet to see one that says that they would adopt the Library of Congress. And those who have been sued and successful, they didn't have Library of Congress mentioned in their policy. They just had a policy and they followed their policy. But I like the step that Wade has made, which was to bring this, because this could guide the discussion, and this fits into the first part on page 2, where Poolesville Commissioners consider a staff-generated list. So you remove the vulnerability to the staff by saying the staff would use the Library of Congress's list to guide their recommendations.
Well, could I ask one last clarifying question, Ed?
Yeah, go, Jeff. You're
Are we
good.
voting, because I'm all in favor of the list from the Library of Congress. Now, are we also saying the list of the Library of Congress, but anything else that we wish to add? Yes or no?
No, Wade, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that once we vote on the policy, then the staff would use the Library of Congress list for their recommendations. And then once they make their recommendations, we vote on those recommendations. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, but using the other guidelines in here,
Yes.
staff could add Autism Month if they wanted to, as a,
And then we would have to vote on whatever was
that's
brought
right,
forward.
that's right.
I see that as the danger point.
Why?
If we have a list from the
In what
Library
way
of
does
Congress.
that not follow our policy?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Well, I'm just wondering why that's a dangerous point. Like, in what way does that not follow the policy?
Well, yeah, again, maybe it's just I'm being stubborn, because it feels to me like if we adopt a list of the Library of Congress, and then we say, but anything
As a
else
guideline.
that comes through Wade, it just opens it up for everything else, and we don't have any list of the authoritative body to point to and say it's on this list or it's not on this list.
I think it's okay that we take some accountability for what we choose. We already have enough limitations in the policy that says we won't do these things. So among what's included, then we just make a decision as a body about what we decide to have be part of that final list.
Yeah,
Well, I certainly hear you. That's just a component that I would like an answer from Jay.
Well, okay, so Jeff, you've given us your opinion on this, and I appreciate it. And basically, it just is whether or not the adoption of the guidelines as well as the other language that's already in the policy, whether that has the strength that you're looking for. And you've said in part of your argument that you want that to be exclusive, the Library of Congress to be exclusive. And what I'd like to do is step away from that conversation right now, move into display, have a conversation based on that, and then it's proper to, even though you've made this request, it's proper for, if the commissioners want to have a motion to be made on the discussion that's already taken place, that can happen. So it may not be, it may not be what somebody may or may not want to be, the way their vote wants to be, but I think we've had a deep and long enough discussion about at least to establish the parameters of the policy itself as well as the guidelines for it. So I want to step away from that, and I just want to go into display. And I think that there's I would say at this point there's a leaning to have it be on the electronic display, but I want to give Sarah some airtime because she's already had aired her thoughts a little bit, and give her a chance to air it out a little more.
Yeah,
Put some
I mean,
wind behind that flying of the flag.
I'll just, I want to keep this brief. I just, if you look at our embassies, at our military bases, commemorative flags like the Pride flag are flown in the same area, if not the same flagpole as the American flag. So I'm not sure where our discomfort with that comes from. My preference is that it's right there in the center of the town, either on one of those existing flagpoles or with maybe an additional flagpole erected. But that's my first opinion. my first choice. I'll say
And
that.
as you back away from the microphone.
But, I don't think there's anything else to be said. Yeah, I think.
Well said. I'm open to other conversations from the other commissioners on this. I think that we headed towards the display being the electronic signboard to be the display component for it, but I'm still open to other further discussions about this. I mean, I originally had a suggestion about hanging it from the band shell because I thought that was an appropriate, like a community flag location, but doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wedded to that, so.
Here's where I'm at on this. Like, I know, I can tell from the past meetings and talking to each of you individually that there's a lot of disagreement on this. And, you know, some people, Sarah thinks it should be front and center. Some people are like much more hesitant, whatever. I would like at the very least just to get something done tonight, just so we have, and if it's the LED sign that we start it, and like, you know, we can always discuss this as we move forward, you know, we can discuss it before next Pride Month. We can discuss it like in between now and then. We can discuss it next month. But like, let's start. Like, let's because even if we agree that we're going to put it on the band shell, we're going to put, you know, flags on the American flag, whatever. Like, it doesn't mean it can't still be on the LED sign as well. So let's get that policy in place. That's my thinking. Unless we have a consensus on another spot, but I think we don't, and I think we can all agree the LED sign is a good place to start. But I think we need to do something.
I agree with you, Martin. I think because the next meeting that we have will be in July.
Right.
I would love for us to do something
We missed the
tonight,
boat, yeah.
right? Because I think folks have worked too hard
Agreed.
for it to kick the can.
Agreed.
So I would say let's starting point display. I would say let's put it on the board. And I hope the thing is up and running soon.
I know.
All right.
I know.
Now's it's not here, but now's when you listen to this recording. This is my nudge to you.
No hurry, just get it up by tomorrow.
Yeah. But going back to business, I think that this so let's get it on the electronic display.
How does Jeff feel about that?
Well, thanks for asking, Martin, because I 100% agree with what you said. And you probably already know that because you read the email that I sent back to the gentleman about the Pride Festival. So, yeah, I was thinking that in twofold that the three flagpoles in front of Woodland Commons there with the commemorative stone, to me that's quite a formal area of the U.S. flag, state of Maryland flag, which we get our authority from, and the town of Poolesville flag. And so for me, that's, well, pardon me. And of course, we have the Memorial Day commemorative event out front there as well. So to me, that's a bit of a formal area. Jim Brown mentioned some time back about the possibility of a flag on the community center, which we also refer to as the band shell, because it is a community space, and also the electric sign. And since the new electric sign is huge, and is very prominent on Fisher Avenue, you know, my opinion would be that we put the flag images that are approved by, I guess, whoever, be on the electric sign, and of course they could rotate with other appropriate messages that the town has for whatever the town messages might be. So that's my 2 cents about it. Yeah, I think the formal area in front should remain those three flags, and the commemorative flags could be on the electric sign or on the band shell.
Okay, very good. Jeff, thank you for your opinion. Ed, I don't know if you've come up with anything yet, formally or not. You did.
Formally, I would say let's go with the electric sign right now. But I would, as we continue this discussion of where, I like standalone over near the community center. I actually like both. Have something on the.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if people
Yeah.
also are in agreement about that.
Yeah,
you could
I like
go.
both, but I know that we probably have to go to the budget if it had its own poll. But for now, I would say the electric sign right now.
Okay, so I'm hearing a little bit of a consensus, enough to make a motion. We still haven't solved Jeff's concerns about the language of exclusivity to just the Library of Congress component. But Jeff, I have to tell you, I think you've aired it out as best you can, but I'm not sure that you're going to be able to get those votes at this point. So I appreciate it. If someone would want to make a motion, then we'll open up for discussion one more time after that.
So, Wade, if somebody were to make a motion, we're revising it a little bit, so
Right.
can you tell me like what the language is saying, and I can,
And he could read it for the record, and that can be something
Yeah.
that's enough for us to.
yes, I want to know what
Where we
what
gotta
we're making
go.
a motion on here.
Okay, so you approve the policy as amended. And to amend it, last time there was a couple, like commemorative flags. Do you have a copy of this with you?
Not in front of me. I can pull it
I have
up.
it from the last agenda. Do you want me to send it to you? Or-
Yeah, will you just you send it over?
I'll text
or-
you.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you.
I got it.
Would you rather have it as a text or an email?
That's good. Let me just look it over.
Email, thank you.
Okay. That's true, I could. It sounds like there are at least 4 of you who are saying you'd be okay with a flag on the band shell. Not that we have to erect it tomorrow, but like, is that what I'm hearing?
My position
not.
pending a vote is definitely going to be to have it be displayed on the electronic sign and then to have further discussion about where else the flag
Okay.
could be displayed. Because I think the logistics of doing it, I would definitely support it on the
Yeah.
band shell in a way that both town staff thought it was something that, could be vandal-proof, like everything that we do in terms of building things to make sure that, and it's workable for town
Yeah.
staff. That's my
So
only
is
concern.
there language so that we can have the policy in effect, but leave some opening for
Mm-hmm.
a space to be determined
I'm
per
okay
the
with that.
recommendation of the staff?
I'm in.
Like, so that, so that the policy would say on the electronic sign and a future place to be determined based on the recommendation of staff. Something like that.
I have no problem with that language. I'd be
Fine with me.
I'd be good with
Would
that too.
Yeah, I'm just,
Does that
Yeah.
sound?
do we have to, just clarification, will we need to put something on there that says the commissioners Poolesville have determined that the following flags may be flown or displayed? Do we need to put, besides town flag poles, do we need to put something on there about the display board? Or is that not necessary?
He has it on here.
Display location is one of the categories.
Location,
Do
okay.
you want to give us, anyone else want to give us?
I got it right here. I didn't, I have to just
So
scroll
here's Wade's
down.
amendments to it.
And I have to say that,
These are his most recent.
Oh, his amendments.
so Jay did approve everything.
On the
The only thing we've done tonight
sign.
was actually tighten it up a little
And I would
further.
just say-
And using a guidance list from the Library of Congress,
Additional physical
which shows intent
recommendations.
of the type of flags that you're going to have flown, so.
And I think that also, that,
Mark, do you
that,
need that or give it?
No, I'm good with it.
those guardrails fit, those guardrails specifically also follow the spirit and intent of where Jay's guidance has been.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
I'm
think so,
comfortable with that.
Good.
I will- I
And,
will show it to
yeah,
Jay
do you mind
tomorrow.
just repeating that, Wade? I was paying attention but not paying attention.
Okay, so everything that was in this policy, Jay approved and said it was the best method going forward. All we did tonight was take away some of the loophole action and add another guidance tool in there for staff to look at. So we actually made it more strict than it actually was already. We narrowed the scope.
But there was something else you mentioned, maybe Jim mentioned it, not you. That the Library of Congress's list gives us
Oh,
guardrails or intentions on,
Right, it shows the intent and type of flags that we're going to be flying.
It's like two sets of guardrails. One's is the Library of Congress, two are the restricted use that is very prominent in the rest of the flag policy.
right, I remember that
This-
part.
That's
Okay.
very
All right.
tight, very tight.
All right. Okay, thanks for adding that, Wade. I didn't know about that.
Wade, would you be able to read do you mind reading it for us? Is it too much to ask with
Which
your
one?
adoptions? The modified commemorative flag policy.
So I'm going to commemorate the flag where it talks about the definition of the policy.
Well, hang on. So we have the purpose, right? I didn't want to start you from the very beginning, but the purpose, right? That paragraph's unchanged.
Correct,
And then general flag policy, tell me what changes on that.
not a thing.
all the way down to the Commissioner of Pools will determine those 4 flags. So look what it says. The Commissioners of Pools will determine that the following flags may be flown on town flagpoles. May be flown. So we're not necessarily saying yes or no to other flags, because you're saying on number 4, commemorative flags as specified below.
Right.
So I'm still not in disagreement with the language, because maybe does not necessarily mean it is. I think that implies further discussion about how we're going to place flags.
And it
actual
doesn't,
live flags.
it doesn't take away of putting a 4th flagpole, even if
It doesn't.
near the band.
No, it doesn't.
Or some other location.
So I'm still good with that language, but I want to make sure that we're all that's why I'm asking that we read this line by line, because I want to have that be perfectly clear. And so then we're still, language staying the same, authorization for a display. And then we're changing, though. In January of each year, the Poolesville Commissioners.
Back up one
I'm
step.
sorry.
So go back to the commemorative flag area. You have
Yeah.
A, B, C, and D. In D,
Yeah.
in D, last time, a couple of citizens came up, and racial other should be stricken, and adult should be stricken. So it's just flags containing commercial, discriminatory themes or speech, or sexually explicit, lewd, or obscene themes and materials is the way it's going to read now. So taking away the racial, because that could be interpreted,
Like if we had African American Month.
right, exactly.
Okay. I'm good
So
with
that was fine. I
Yeah,
think
it looks
one of
good.
one of the public did last time we were there.
Mhm.
That's stricken.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Then you can keep going. You're going on the path that I want you to go.
Okay, then
Keep rolling.
authorization for display, annual consideration stays the same. Unscheduled displays, that whole paragraph gets deleted. Location of display,
Did you guys get that? In the unscheduled display, the entire paragraph's deleted.
Thank you.
okay, and then commemorative flags shall be displayed on the town's electronic sign. And then I think Sarah wanted to add, or other locations.
An additional physical location per the recommendations of town staff? Or to be considered?
To be
per the
considered.
Recommendations of town staff, something like that?
Yeah, as per recommendations.
Recommended, yeah.
Yeah, and to be considered implies that the town commissioners would be the ones that would actually be making that decision.
Okay.
You're good with that, and I'm good with it.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And then duration of display, that all stays the same. And then we get to the last paragraph, commemorative flags. Here it's going to say the flags that are non-governmental flags, and using the guidance of the Library of Congress's list, and we'll list all those out on there also.
I'm even okay for now, because I don't want to make this might be a little sticky one, but
Okay.
we might as well have a conversation about the use of third-party flags on town-owned flagpoles is prohibited, because we may be erecting another flagpole. So I'm not sure that I want to just have that line be in there.
I think that makes sense.
I mean, I hate to say
Wouldn't you think that if we're going to fly a particular commemorative flag, that the town would purchase it?
Yes, I'm saying that, but look at it, it says right here, the use of third-party flags on town-owned flagpoles is prohibited. I want,
Well, I read that to mean that I give you a flag to, I don't know, some resident says, here's a flag to put on your pole.
One of the
Right, and you-
clarifications that Jay made in his communication with us is that when we approve a policy and decide to fly a flag, it is considered the opinion of the government. So it's not a third-party flag at that point, it's the opinion of the government.
that's why I want
Our flag.
That's why I want to vet it out. I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that the people felt like that
I think it's,
kept that protection in place, as well as,
don't we say earlier
Not
in here
contradictory.
that it
There's somewhere
is
else too that it does.
the very first paragraph says that it's for government speech. So I don't know if we need to add that clarifying language that
well, it's more about defining what a third party
It's in the
is.
second
Sure.
paragraph also. So it's in there 3 times, actually. Last sentence of the second paragraph there.
Yes.
Yeah, nor will the town use its flagpoles to sponsor the expression of a third party.
So it's already in there, so.
That's
We
fine
could
for
take
me.
out that line because it's already up there further. maybe in the
I'd feel more
context-
comfortable about that.
Maybe in context of the previous paragraph, it makes more sense.
Well, that's what happens. It gets lost in that the context gets a little skewy compared to where it is in the general flag
I
policy
could see
anyway.
that. Yeah, we could, it's too, like, not defined.
Loose.
So
Yeah.
strike that line, because it's already covered elsewhere.
Yep.
We appreciate again, the guardrails as instituted by the town attorney and staff. Okay, guys, so we're back to it again. Do we have, is there enough verbiage here to make us feel comfortable enough to have a motion and then a vote? Do we, what else needs to be changed? We've gone through this from top to bottom now. Everybody comfortable enough?
I feel like it has really strong guardrails while also allowing us to move forward with the spirit and the intention of the policy. And I feel like everybody's made some compromises, and that to me always feels like a good path forward, where everyone has.
Also, I'll just add that I just texted Wade and asked if he'll run it by Jay in the morning just to make sure there's nothing egregious. And he will, and nothing's going to happen until that sign is on anyway. So,
Right.
We got a couple days. So if there's a problem, Wade can let us know in the morning and we can, put a halt on it, I guess. But I think, at this point, I agree with Jim. It's sound policy, and
Yep.
Sarah, that we have good guardrails. So I would be in favor of making a motion at this point.
It could be, the motion would be for the adoption of the commemorative, the amended
Yes.
commemorative flag policy, as per,
Now, is it really amended, because it was never a policy yet anyway?
yeah.
As amended,
As
Although the draft
revised.
was amended,
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
So we're really not amending a policy, because the policy doesn't
Okay.
exist.
But but
draft, the draft as
Yeah.
amended.
Or as discussed.
So how about this? How about this, y'all? I make a motion that we adopt the commemorative flag policy as revised per the discussion tonight. As
Love
re-
it.
As
I would say
rewritten.
it's presented instead of revised, because we never had a policy to
Well,
revise.
as presented and then revised in this working session.
Yeah, the draft was revised.
Because it's slightly different than this one.
Try, let's give it again, one more piece of language here. Go for it. You tried. Give us one more.
I make a motion that we
Because we just had a full discussion after
adopt
you
the
said it.
commemorative flag policy as discussed at tonight's meeting.
Fair enough.
Is that good?
That works.
I'm okay with that.
I would say, I'm
second.
sorry, I would say as drafted.
As
Versus
drafted.
Discussed is a little nebulous.
Okay.
Okay, so you made a motion to adopt the commemorative flag policy as drafted in tonight's meeting.
A second?
Motion by Martin, second by Sarah. Further conversation.
Yeah, can I add my 2 cents?
It's your time.
Okay, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I really feel like I'm being pushed into voting yes. And Wade and Martin have already said that we won't know the opinion of the town attorney until tomorrow. I haven't read what Wade has been keeping up and taking notes and so on, and none of us have. So I would prefer to get an opportunity to read it completely after Jay's opinion, and then I can feel much more confident on voting yes or no.
Okay, I appreciate your opinion on that. Is there any other commentary or questions on this?
No.
I'm comfortable. I've been listening to what Wade has said, and so I've read over his notes, so I got a chance to look at it. And then I'm looking at what Jay had said previously, so my interpretation of what he said, what we're doing here just makes it even tighter than where we had loose ends before.
Jeff, you can also consider the option to abstain if you want, and I think you'd probably have the basis for that if you felt like you had to do it. But that's your call. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, and we have a second, and we're going to call that to a vote. So all those in favor of the motion as made by Martin, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'm voting no. And I want to be clear, I'm not voting no because I disagree with having a flag policy. I'm voting no because, number one, I haven't read it, and number two, we haven't had the opinion of the attorney. So I would like that reflected in the minutes, Wade.
Yes, sir.
Duly noted.
you.
Thank you, Jeff, and thanks for all the good discussion points as well.
I would like to note that I respectfully disagree. I think we have had the opinion of the attorney on 99.9% of it, and the other part will be confirmed tomorrow. So I don't want anyone out there thinking that we're doing this without running it by the attorney. The attorney has looked at the overwhelming majority of this policy and said it's good.
I'm going to let those two statements stand by both Commissioner Eck and Commissioner Radigan for the record, so I appreciate that. The motion's passed. Thank you for all the good conversation, guys. I love working together as a team like we do. It's good stuff. And congratulations on another Poolesville moving forward again. All right, very good. If you're done writing over there, sir, you can give us the town manager's report.
Okay, water tank, still on the top of my list. It does say Poolesville on it now.
Those graphics are beautiful.
And
Thank you.
there's a falcon on one side of it.
Yes.
And tomorrow it should be revealed the rest of the way, so it's looking good, it's very sizable, and they've done a good job.
I'm happy.
We still need to bring the crane back in and put the top apparatus on for the main cellular things that go on the very top. That'll probably happen later this week or maybe next week even, and then they have to repaint that. And then they'll bring another crane in, probably after July 4th, I think, right now, and move all the carriers over to the water tank. And we still have to chlorinate the inside of it, fill it up, flush it, test for bacteria, then we can finally bring it back online. So still have a little process to go to get back online. Electronic sign, we're waiting for 2 sensors to be put in place. We had Friday, the guy came out, electrician did, hooked it all up, so it's ready to go. The 2 sensors need to be installed, one's to communicate with the Wi-Fi here, or the cloud and here, and the other one is a weather sensor, and I'm not sure if that's just daylight, darkness, and the LEDs, get brighter or dimmer with that. So once that's in, we're up and running, so we can start displaying things. So hopefully next week on that. Annual water quality report's been completed. It's being printed right now. That's going to be mailed out. There's a lot of language in there that is required by EPA and MDE. Warning labels about every from lead to nitrates to the PFAS stuff, and the PFAS results are all in there also, and what we're doing about it. So it's a good report. Let's see. We've had some complaints from a couple of folks regarding late night speeding on Fisher Avenue. So Niles and I talked about it today. He's going to pull some of the most recent data from the flashing signs out here that record it, and then we'll get to see what's on there. Then we'll get together with the police folks and report to whatever we have there and see what they've done. But it was, I guess, some folks were racing a couple of nights ago pretty quickly up and down the road. So we'll see. Maybe they're trying to see how fast the sign can go. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Now that there's a
I've
sign
never
there,
done
like
that.
tempting, they're like,
Yeah.
hi, can you get it?
I've never done that either, so that's.
Did it running once. And then we need to talk about our summer meeting schedule. Last year, we met once in July and once in August, and I don't know what anybody's schedules were or anything, but it was something we probably need to talk about since our next scheduled meeting is July 1st.
Yeah, so if everybody could look at, I know you have your counters coming up. Wade and I talked about that there's actually, if you look at July, there's 3 Mondays in July, and the talk was to potentially have, to do our meeting just once on the 15th for that month for July, and then if you wanted to look forward to August, it would be either pick one of the 3. I mean, I'm not a huge fan. I told Wade this early this morning. I'm not a huge fan of getting away from the 1st and the 3rd.
Could I suggest that we do the 3rd Monday in July and the 3rd in August?
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
that.
So the 3rd,
Because I have some conflicts on some of those other Mondays, so those 2 would probably work.
so the 3rd will be the 15th, which is the middle of the month and an oddball. Only once in a blue moon do we have 3 Mondays. So we would do that on the 15th, and then in August, your suggestion is
23rd. I'm sorry, August 19th.
19th.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with the 19th as well. I don't know about you
19th looks
guys.
good for me.
And Wade, is that, I know you're going to be away, right, in the beginning? of
No, I'm
August?
back. I'm
Back?
Yep.
Okay. So,
On July 15th, I'll be fishing in Manitoba, Canada.
oh, awesome.
For you.
That's cool, Jeff. Good for you.
Yes.
When do you go? When do you come back? I mean, it sounds like the 15th is going to work for others, but I'm still open to it. What's your schedule?
Well, actually, it's very close. I'm back on the 16th, on Tuesday, the 16th. So I'm going from the 8th to the 16th. Well, I'm back on the 16th, yes.
I'm gone on the 22nd.
I'm gone on the 22nd too.
Are you still in
I
July
would
or?
prefer the 15th.
Yeah, still in July.
Stick with that third one, just strike the first Monday one.
And just so you guys
And then
know,
same
we
thing
have
about
nothing
next
for the agenda for July yet
Yeah.
lined up.
So we get a chance to build some agenda if we wait a little bit too. And July 1st is going to be a very short week for town hall. So that's kind of out of it. So Jeff, we'll take your 15th under consideration. Your issue right now as we move to August. If everybody can
All
look
right.
at their calendar there. If we're going to have to sacrifice just you for that one, but you're still good with what we're going to plan on doing in August. And as Wade said, that we don't have anything else on the agenda right now, period.
Yes, August is fine.
August is good, and August is good for me too, and the 19th is what's been suggested.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
by
Looks good.
consensus, that's good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So 22nd and 19th?
It's the 15th,
The 15th.
15th, July 15th is, I know I'm no good on the 22nd, Sarah's no good on the 22nd.
I'm not good on the 22nd.
You're not good on the 22nd, so, Jeff, I'm sorry, you're getting out vacationed, 3 to
May
1.
not be available.
Right, okay.
Okay, you may not be able to do the 15th either. What
There's
about,
there's no self-service in northern Manitoba, so.
what time, and what about the 16th? Are you potentially out too then? Not that I want to move it off on Monday, but are you?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably make it work,
What, the 16th?
the 15th or the 16th. I mean, I'm gonna be away, and so it's a little dicey, but
You'll just have to call in.
yeah,
Will
probably
you,
call in.
will you be in a position to call in?
We have service.
I should.
Look, you guys, there's a chance too, if that agenda stays slim, that we can push to August too.
Yeah, okay.
So why don't we say 15th, knowing that Jeff can't make it, Martin is likely but questionable, and if we end up that there's just nothing pressing for us, then we move to August.
And then the 19th, right?
August 19th, yeah.
August 19th, yeah, which is good for me. And good
Okay.
for everybody else?
Yep.
And good, Jeff,
Yes.
are you good on the 19th?
Yes,
Okay, August 19th. Okay, that's all we're going to do for right now, and then we'll get into what September looks like, because September, again, is a little wacky too, because normally it would be the second, which is Labor Day. So, but we'll deal with that. Might be the only thing on the agenda for July will be determined if we have a September meeting.
Poolesville Day is on the 21st, correct?
Poolesville Day is on the 21st. And Sarah, we can't wait till the 23rd, okay, for another meeting. We won't be getting any work done.
I don't know if I can do anything before Poolesville Day. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. No, it's the day after. That's the day. It kicks your butt. All right, guys, so we have our meeting schedule set. Wade, what else did you have, town manager report, anything else for us to discuss?
Only thing is staff is starting to bounce back up now. Last week, we had 4 of them go down with COVID. And one more I was out this weekend with it, so. And an active
my.
office going around too. I was afraid to come over here.
Yeah. Yeah, we met today. We made Niall stand outside
It was
almost.
confidence, it's like, okay.
Get out. Niles, go outside. We'll crack the window open. You can just speak to the little crack in the window.
They're all doing better now.
That's good.
Good.
And Wade, to give us a little more update on the personnel things we talked about today. What are we doing?
Oh, the 2
people-wise?
hires, well, we are hiring 2 folks that we put in the budget last year, one for the Water and Sewer Department, one for the Parks and Streets Department. The ads are out right now. We're going to close it towards the end of June.
Full-timers?
Yes, 2 full-time positions, entry level. Yep.
Nice.
We have applications already.
Saw the ads.
Couple of them coming in. Yep. The ads they look good. They look good benefit package. You try to highlight the, important things, so.
Cool, good. And I'm trying to think of what else we talked about today that's worthy of it. I can't think of anything else.
Now we have a lot of projects going on. The engineering, we finally got all the surveying done for the commercial area. That was a big thing that John, I meet with him and Jason Alzar, the company president, to discuss how we're going to move forward with delineating all the storm waters and what's needed to be upgraded for any growth to even happen or anything to be built in the commercial area.
And to that number 2, we're probably going to entertain an opening of a discussion with some of the stakeholders that are in what might be a rezoned area up there. so nobody gets caught off guard for, and at least, if anything, to say, please start watching the planning commission meetings so they can be kept up to date on what's potentially happening on surrounding the land that they own. So we'll probably have some of those discussions get started.
Do you have an update on what's going on with the whole streetscape planning process? I know you were waiting, you had
There what?
specific engineering firm.
Yeah, waiting for the federal government to do their final sign off on it to appoint that company.
Okay.
So I'm still waiting.
Putting in the still waiting mode, we didn't talk about this today, but what, tell me what's happening with my favorite sidewalk stretch on West Willard. Because the school year is going to start again here before too long.
I know, we've contacted the homeowner, or the property owner, a couple different times. We did introduce the documents to them, and they were going over them, and we just can't get a reply back from them yet.
Do you mind if I reach out to her? It's still who we thought it was?
Oh, it is, yes.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to reach out to her and just ask if there's something we can further do to answer questions or be prepared for it.
Yep.
Is that on the west side of West Willard?
It's on the
Yes.
west side.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I thought we had that person's approval.
Not in writing.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Wade, do you have any information about when they're going to start their project next door?
You know, they said that they were getting ready to settle on the property, and they were doing some final things with stormwater they had to complete as part of the contract agreement, so
Settling on a builder, you mean?
they won't, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, to sell the property, so they was gonna go to close. But, I'm not sure if it has or not yet. They had that one document they wanted to finish up with stormwater.
And then what about down at Donegan? Did I hear that that's almost done?
That should be a done deal. They should own the property now, and so they'll probably move forward before this moves forward.
Huh, interesting. Okay, good, thank you.
And we did get permission to use it for Poolesville Day, which was a good thing.
Great.
That's good.
Very good. I don't have anything else. Anything else from anybody else?
No, but I make a motion, we adjourn.
Martin, motion.
How's that?
Second is motion.
Second, Ed. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. We're done. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Ask who else was maybe going to Ocean City.
You going, Jim?
I'm
Mark?
going to be there all day on Monday, and I'll be at the meeting, that dinner that Monday night. Let's dominate the meeting again, where we can call Gaithersburg and Rockville our suburbs.
All right.
And,
Mark, you said you are going or you're not going?
No, I'm not going. My summers are busy